My league start for Keepers of the Flame 3.27 is Boneshatter Slayer. Boneshatter is a skill I've started in the past with success on Slayer and I've gotten 4 Void Stones on it. It's easily by day 2 at least with my available playtime. The skill Boneshatter has pretty good clear, decent boss damage, and its defenses are solid. This build also does run no uniques, so I would imagine it is solo self-found viable. All the rares here are pretty generic. So this is a POB I threw together for Slayer, as I find Slayer to be the best pick for me personally, and decided to turn it into a guide. I don't usually make build myself or build guides for the matter, so if someone does choose to run it, I'd love to see how it goes, as long with me playing it. Naturally then, I would never claim this build to be hardcore viable. Please do not run this in hardcore. I do not want your character to die. Anyways, Bone Shatter, pretty simple skill. You strike with an axe, you deal damage. The gimmick though, you take stacking physical damage for every hit you deal, but you also gain more damage. So the thing is, you'll be taking a lot of physical hits. We need to mitigate this. To mitigate this, Slayer does have the Brutal Fervor node. This helps out a lot because we do get Overleach, and this Overleach helps us regen through it. We also do get to take this node here called Inexorable, which is very nice. 25% chance to gain an Endurance charge when you're hit. Does proc off of Bone Shatter hits, so we do get some Endurance charges just from using Bone Shatter. This build then will also naturally demand a high life pool and armor, as the more trauma you gain, the more you will take. This does mean that our build will end up with some good damage and some pretty solid defenses to go with it. So let's go to leveling. So I made a little leveling links thing here. I like to start with splitting steel, and then after that, I take my movement skills, get my generic auras. Precision will be taken, as precise technique will be used in this build. Early on in leveling, Blood Rage for clear, Pride Vulnerability for damage, and then we'll swap to Bone Shatter once we hit level 33, and we can put Precision on Arrogance to make it reserve life. So let's go back to the tree. So for the tree, we are going to start pathing to Precise Technique. This is important as it gives a large 40% more damage boost as long as our accuracy rating is higher than our life. I also like to path down to this node here because we do get Onslaught for 4 seconds on kill. Very nice for clear. So we will also need precision and accuracy nodes on the tree because we need to make sure we hit that accuracy check for that big damage. Our first node we will take will be Brutal Fervor, as this will help us with getting Leech. 10% reduced damage taken while leeching is also very nice, but it also counteracts the big trauma damage we'll be taking. For the second lab, try to path over here to Inexorable because it's pretty much free endurance charge generation. Try to also take the node here as we get non-Val Strike skills target one additional nearby enemy. This helps out a lot with clear because when Bone Shatter hits an enemy, it releases a pulse, like a small AoE on the ground that can hit other monsters. And the additional strike will also release another pulse, helps out with clear a lot. This is why we'll also take impact, as it helps out with a lot of things. Increased accuracy for precise technique check, increased AoE helps the pulses for better clear, and then 15% more damage based on proximity is pretty self-explanatory. As for the third lab, we'll continue pathing throughout the tree. We'll take Bane of Legends, and then on our final lab, we will start to take Headsman for the free 20% coal, as well as trying to get some reservation nodes to slot some more auras in, like Determination, to help with that physical damage taken. Moving on to level 83 for red maps, we'll try to take the Axe node here for some attack speed and rage on hit, as well as starting to get a little bit more life, and then level 96 will be our final tree. So with Keeper of the Flames 3.27, we also did see the arrival of Bloodline Ascendancies, so this does beg the question if any of these are solid choices for Boneshatter Slayer. When scrolling through these, I wasn't too satisfied with these. We don't have that much socket pressure, so we can definitely take one of these nodes. However, I don't think it's worth an entire Ascendancy point. This node here seems solid. We take 40% less damage from hits, but we will lose life equal to it later, which is fine though, since we have a very high leech rate. We'll just heal over that. Problem is, non-cluster, non-passive jewel socket is in my passive skill tree will have no effect, which will negate the jewels here, here, and here. The only node that I saw being a very powerful pick was the Wild Bear. So the Wild Bear does give plus 20 to maximum rage, but we do lose it all in reaching maximum rage and gain Wild Savagery. So Wild Savagery looks like to be adrenaline. Instead, it's 100% physical damage and 10% increased action speed. Nonetheless, that is still pretty powerful. If we go to the configs, we do have 41 rage at max, so 20 more rage. Means we will get this for 60 seconds. Now, the Admiral's Arrogance gauntlets may be pretty strong with this, as we do get a 20% chance that if you would gain rage on hit, it would go up to the maximum rage. Not to mention, +3 to all melee skill gems is pretty good. But some testing would have to be done with Admiral's Arrogance, as the interaction may cause us to go to maximum rage, get the Wild Savagery, but then we'll consistently keep hitting maximum rage based off the 20% chance proc and not actually gain any more damage from the rage, only Wild Savagery. So it could be a bit anti-synergy, but some testing and feeling out how it would play would have to commence. As for notes, I just saw some pretty generic things here. It's not too long. I'm not entirely sure what people would be looking for here, but I left some generic questions, like if Boneshatter deals too much damage, you can lower the level till it's comfortable. Of course, more armor and physical damage reduction. The play style, some uniques that might be solid. Weapon, armor, leveling, and then my ideas for the Bloodline Ascendancy. So, final thoughts for this build, I would imagine, would be pretty consistent. It gets the job done before you want to swap this build into another thing that runs any of these three ascendancies. Or if you want to invest in it, which I will be investing into this build further, I'll be running some uniques, min-maxing it, and posting my thoughts later, assuming I still feel like making videos after this one. This is more of an experiment for myself. Another thing is from the patch notes, Boneshatter was buffed with having 2% more damage per trauma. Pretty nice. The best way I can simulate this is going here, the quality, setting it to 60. And now it has 7% more damage per trauma, and we get a lot more DPS. Pretty nice. Anyways, I do appreciate the time for whoever chose to watch this small build guide I tried to make, see how it goes. I'd love to hear how it goes, assuming someone does choose to follow it. If not, if there's maybe more adept players that did see this, do make build guides or have played Boneshatter, please, feedback or comments on this would be very, very valuable to me. Any questions, I can try my best to answer them here. Anyways, thanks for your time. Happy league starting.